Hey everyone, I thought I would provide some between set thoughts on bulking, or rather gaining weight on purpose. This is something that we sometimes have to do as powerlifters, even bodybuilders sometimes, in order to elicit the strength and muscle gains that we want in the future. So currently my situation, preparing for a bench only comp, I know that I have to be like north of 128, in order to really have that feeling where the bar kind of feels weightless, upper body is all kind of filled out and tight. I get that proximal stability to bench the biggest weights I'm capable of. Of course, I've benched a decent amount in the past, bench 230, so in order to be able to bench north of that is going to take something extreme. So therefore I have done a bulk, so to speak, fairly quickly, from sitting around 122, 123 to about 131 kilos. And here's the thing with bulking, with getting bigger on purpose, it can be uncomfortable, especially if you have some type of, attachment to looking fairly decent. If you're somewhat of a power builder, I know some people don't like that definition or expression and don't believe it exists, but to each his own. And it can be uncomfortable. Like now, you see all the fat and the water that's gone on my face. Some of the lines, that you're holding on to go away, become more blurry. Stomach's constantly distended to the point where I'm walking around thinking I just look like a big fat dude. So the thing is, the reality is that this sometimes is somewhat necessary, okay? Having that uncomfortable feeling, not having that great aesthetic leanness / dryness that you used to, it can be necessary in order to build muscle. Put it this way, build muscle, build strength. Put it this way, if you want an extension on your house, you're gonna have to put some extra bricks in, aren't you? You're gonna have to put some extra food in. It requires extra material, which means in order to gain more muscle, and in some cases gain more strength, you need to put more food in to be in a caloric surplus, and that's just the reality of it. If you're happy though being a certain weight, certain body composition, you really don't want to let that go, that's fine. And if you're able to gain strength as a powerlifter through the means of improving your technique, improving your programming, improving your sleep, and improving the structure of your nutrition and even your hormones, then so be it. They're kind of better ways in a way to go at it, rather than just like bulking up like crazy. But if you've already got all those things pretty much perfectly in place and you have a competition on the horizon, then it can actually be worth, I say it can be worth, it's pretty much the only way to go about it is to gain some more tissue, whether that be pure muscle tissue or muscle tissue, fat and water, especially if you've got a competition coming up on the near horizon. Realistically, there are better ways to do bulking. A nice gradual way, I understand, is basically the most optimal way. Okay, yeah, you're gonna gain the least amount of fat, you're gonna stay looking good while you gain, and you do these preparatory phases, if I can pronounce that correctly, in order to do the best bulk possible. Do a little diet beforehand, do a reverse diet up to the bulk. But sometimes it's not possible if you've got a powerlifting competition coming up and you need to be a certain weight by a certain time. So those are my thoughts on it. Just thought I would share those thoughts. Sometimes, if you want to go further, sometimes it requires that you become uncomfortable, you become a little bit unhappy sometimes with your self-image, but what you are left with is the muscle gain at the end. And something I heard Jane Blakely talk about was bulking is okay, putting fat on is okay, as long as you are confident. If you're confident with your ability to diet thereafter, then it doesn't really matter that much, because you can diet the excess fat off and you've been left with the muscle gain, hopefully all of the muscle gain, most of the muscle gain that you've put on previously. So, you know, if you think about it as only temporary, it's not always a bad thing. Something I mentioned earlier, that there are other ways of improving in powerlifting, which are improving your technique, improving your programming, improving the structure of your nutrition, meaning, you know, taking care of your sleep, taking care of your hormones. All that can be done before you just decide to mindlessly bulk, because for some people bulking is not the answer. For some people they need to address the other things, and even when you are bulking, the best results you will get will be gained if all those other things, hormones, the actual structure of your nutrition, sleep and training / technique, if they're all in the right place, you will get better results. You will gain more muscle rather than just fat and sometimes water as the end result.